Hello, and welcome to the TNC Podcast, episode 22. My name is Sean.
And I'm Perrin.
And it's just us two.
At least for now.
At least for now. We'll see, but for now you've just got me and Perrin, so be prepared for that. I'm sure we'll have a lot of shenanigans.
You can do so
and
much
silly
worse, let's be real.
Yeah? What, you think I'm not a good enough host, huh?
No, that's not at all what I'm saying.
I feel personally offended here. How dare you judge my hosting
skills? That's not
skills.
at all what I'm saying.
Okay, I'll trust you.
If we're gonna have two random people do this podcast, they will statistically be far worse at this podcast than me and Sean, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, we were talking, I don't know if you remember this, but we were talking after, I think the last time you guys were on with Corbin, and you were saying you and Corbin were going to record like a short episode or something.
We strongly considered making a 19.6. Episode 19.6. Like, we texted about it, but we were going to do it the Monday night, the night after, but I just got home from work and I was really tired and I did not want to record, and he was too busy, and then I just it would have been funny, but not worth the trouble. But man, I don't even know what we would have talked about.
Honestly, I don't know.
That would have been, what could have been, man. That would have been an incredible episode.
Yeah, because one time after we finished recording with you two, I think it was the second time Corbin was on, and I think after we finished recording, you started talking about how you're going to put pasta in your mouth and cook the pasta in your mouth or something.
Yeah.
Who
just
knows
normal.
What...
That's how true Italians do it. Yeah. That's just the way it goes.
I'm learning so much about Italy today.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to break the pasta.
I know that.
Recently, you're not supposed to. So you have to take the full foot long bundle of linguine or whatever. Just stick it in there as far as you can and pour the boiling hot water on it. It's that easy. It's not that hard. Put butter in the boiling water. Give it some flavor. Add some spices, garlic, basil, oregano. Plenty more garlic. Man, enough garlic to kill every vampire in a 15-mile radius. That's how you make pasta. This is a podcast about design and stuff.
It's now about how you make pasta in your mouth. Oh my god. I was actually, when you said about breaking pasta, I made this joke. I can't remember who it was. I think it was one of my friends, and we were talking about that and how they break pasta when they make it, like spaghetti. I know it's not spaghetti, but when they break the long linguine. And I said to them, every time you do that, an Italian drops dead. It's like an angel loses his wings, and an Italian just drops dead.
I was about to make that kind of joke. Yeah, dang it.
Great minds think alike.
Exactly. This is a podcast.
This is a podcast. It's just like a random conversation. Incredible. I swear. I should probably try and steer this in some kind of direction, I think, if I'm going to make a good host. The problem is, Micah would usually be here, and he would be the one that would say, okay guys, we need to move on. But since he's not here, I'm just letting it all just happen.
Exactly. So what have you been up to, Sean?
Well, before we get to that, I thought I'd quickly mention, as Micah sent this today actually, the podcast officially started 1 year today. So we upload our first episode
September 24th, 2022.
September 20. Indeed. So that was when we released our first episode, Introductions, which haunts me to this day. That episode haunts me to this day.
Man, it wasn't a bad one at all, per se. But it wasn't exactly... You guys hadn't really come into your own. You hadn't, nailed down the style yet or anything.
No.
You hadn't had me on yet, obviously.
True. Yeah. Oh, but that first episode I remember, because when we first started recording, it was we did not know what we were doing at all. The amount of dead air was painful. I went and re-listened to it a little bit, and I realized, firstly, mine and Micah's audio quality on the first episode was so bad. Horrible. Oh my god.
I remember.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. People suffer through that, right? Because right now, on our statistics, it's the most listened to episode. And I'm thinking... and I'm thinking to myself, I think I know why maybe people stop listening
I really
after that
hope
episode.
If they just started from the beginning, they stuck with it.
Yeah, please do.
Please stick with it. If you're considering listening from the beginning, We're so sorry. Please stick with it. It gets better, trust me.
I swear. I promise. I promise it does get better.
It took like at least like 2 or 3 episodes before he got like a good microphone, if I recall correctly, right?
So I got my current microphone the next episode. I listened to it and I realized, oh my god, this is so bad, I need to buy a microphone. So within that 2-week period I got a microphone. And since episode 2 I've had decent audio quality, but Micah took a bit longer and he had it I think it was to like episode 8 or 9 I think when he had better audio quality, but he wasn't as bad as I was. Mine was the worst on the first episode because I was literally like, it was like I was speaking through a tin can in the middle of like a storm. I don't know what was going on with that microphone, but it was bad. It was really bad. Honestly, it was horrible. But but one year now of TNC.
It got better.
There you go.
How far we've come.
I've got so far.
21 and a half episodes later. We're doing so much better.
Indeed. We're going up and up. Up and up.
It's a constant journey.
Indeed. A journey to... what's that? You know that video where it's like the strategic missile, where it's like the missile knows where it is by a good subsystem.
The missile knows where it is. The missile knows where it's going. Okay, so I heard this from my brother first because obviously he's going to know that joke because he's an aerospace engineer. But as soon as I first heard him say it, I'm just like, man, that's pretty funny. And then when I started learning to drive with my mom, I would say that all the time. Whenever I take a turn, not super great, I'm just like, don't worry, the missile knows where it is, missile knows where it's going.
Oh my god, I was just thinking, why can't we have a GPS voice that sounds like that has the voice of that video? That is a great idea. Someone should do that. That would be amazing.
But yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because there are worse ways to reassure your mother about your driving skills than saying the missile knows where it is. The missile knows where it is because it knows where it's been, because it knows where it's going. Whatever it was.
What would be a worse way to reassure your mother that
well,
you knew what you were doing?
At least we're alive.
We're not in a ditch yet.
We're not in a ditch yet. Insurance company isn't on our tail yet. Everything's fine.
They'll still give me a reasonable price for insurance. We're fine.
The suspension still works.
The steering wheel is still attached to the car.
Man.
The airbag hasn't gone off yet.
Man. This Toyota Sienna is still chugging along great.
That's the other thing I realized, is cars are named differently in America to other parts of the world. Hyundais in America are named after things, actually have our names. Whereas here, for example, we have i30, i40, i20, i10.
Yeah, I know. My dad drives a Honda Fit, and I'm pretty sure it's named something else in Europe.
Probably is, yeah. A lot of cars are for some reason.
But yeah, it's called the Jazz. It's called the Honda Jazz in Europe.
Jazz.
It's the really small Honda model. My dad drove one for 4 years, but a couple weeks ago we had really bad flooding in parts of Massachusetts, and it got stuck in a puddle and it got totaled. It was so sad. God. It was really scary because it's a giant puddle that was waist deep of water because we flooding isn't fun. So that was scary for my mom who was driving. But car is totaled, so that sucks. But yeah, rip to my dad's Honda Fit. We're getting a new car. I think we're getting a Subaru to replace it.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Perrin's dad's old car.
Yeah,
you will be
love Honda Fits. They're so small. They do a great job. I would drive a Honda Fit for sure.
They're so small and so innocent. He had so much to live for.
It works so well. It does exactly what you need it to. The reason we got it was because it was the only car that could fit in our garage that could fit while our treadmill in there was down. It was the only car that could fit.
In the garage?
We had a treadmill. We just moved, so it doesn't really matter anymore.
I see.
But we needed a second car. And we also had a treadmill in the garage, and we didn't want to have to pick one or the other, and so we just got the smallest car physically possible, which is a Honda Fit. We didn't want to get a Fiat or a smart car or whatever. We wanted a reliable car that could fit. But there was only 6 inches of clearance in that garage. It was great.
That's amazing.
Man. Yeah. This podcast is not about cars.
Yeah, it's not a car podcast, but sometimes we just take a notion for talking about whatever we want. So I should probably move on to the analytics real quick. So the last episode, Platforms and Pixels, got 14 plays. So thank you very much to everyone that listened. So not everyone has quit after the first episode. So that's good to see.
Good for them.
Wait, you're not listening?
Oh, I've been listening. That was not meant to imply that I was not listening. No. I'm happy for everyone who has listened to the podcast, and that group also includes me.
Yeah. Also, since it's the anniversary, I'll go for some like long time stats. So, all time we have had 878 plays. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. I'm trying to have a quick look, see if there's anything else that's interesting. Geographical location, you got United States like 68%, United Kingdom about 14%, Australia at 7%. Hello to all our Australian listeners.
Shout out to the Australians out there. Hello
to the 1% of people listening from Saudi Arabia.
Incredible. I know exactly who that is because
yeah. And 5% from Canada. Hello, Canadians.
Man, we got a whole lot of people in there.
Yeah. There's also then like every other country's like less than 1%. You've got like Germany, India, France, New Zealand, Switzerland, Malaysia, Sweden, South Korea, etc., etc.
Nice.
Very nice.
Good assortment right there.
Indeed.
Jolly bunch right there.
So, lastly, I'll go through is quickly. Let's go all time and how many devices. So, firstly, most people, 28% of people all time have listened to the podcast on an iPhone, 21% on an Android device, 15% on the web, 6% on the Mac, 5% on Windows, 3% are on a smart speaker, and 18% on other, the mysterious other category. So that will probably be the Apple Watch and other such devices. Because I've seen people do that as a joke.
I would imagine, yes.
So yeah, there you go. So iPhone is the most popular. Interesting. Quite surprised at that because I actually fuss into mock Apple so much, but still, I want Tim to sponsor the podcast at some point, please.
Please, Tim, we need this.
I need this, Tim. I really need it.
Tim Cook, if you're listening.
Yeah. All right. So probably move on, I guess, to what we've been up to. Yeah, I actually should probably run this like as an actual podcast. So what have you been up to, Perrin?
So since the last time I was on here, I've gone back to school. This is, technically speaking, it's the second semester of my junior year, credits-wise. It's complicated. So I've worked a little bit I've done a little bit more for the NCAA redesign project. Remember that? How I started that like a year ago and then did like 4 teams and then gave up. And then, because, keep in mind, there's 128 teams. I did 4 and then decided, you know what, I'm good actually. And then I think it was this June, I decided I might as well go back to it. And I made a new uniform template since then, so I might as well just like slap the old teams on the new design. So I did that, and then I made a bunch more. I think I'm at 30-ish teams right now, but I've been working on that somewhat steadily. It's a good like fallback project to do when I'm bored with everything else, or when I like am bored in class and need something to do on my computer, or bored from homework. It's a good fallback option for the most part.
Yeah.
I've worked a bit more on my my football league, fictional football league, the NAFA. I recently rebranded the league itself. I simplified their logo a bit, so I'm a lot more happier with the badge and stuff.
It's very nice, by the way, should I say.
Thank you.
I saw it. Very nice.
Want to work a bit. I'm in the process of working a bit more on like the brand identity for the league itself. So like, like supporting typefaces. I want to make like logos for like the little playoff tournament at the end of the year, and like where the championship game is. Just like kinds of logos that real leagues would have, in their brand identity. So fun little explorations there. And also, remember Brand Battle 5? That's still a thing I'm hosting. I was finally able to share the results for round 1.
Yay!
A couple weeks ago, when it was initially shared with a May 1st, I think.
Something like that. It was just before my birthday as well, so that's why I remember.
On March 31st. The next round came out like August 8th or 9th or something.
It's not brand battle if it doesn't take multiple months.
Exactly. In my defense, it wasn't my fault this time. Unlike previous brand battles where the judging just takes forever.
Burrito designs.
It was simply nobody entered. We did not have nearly enough people enter. But we finally reached 16 entries out of, we were hoping for 32, and then having, like, that was paired off, and then the best from each side would, advance. But didn't happen, so we just said, all right, first 16 entries to come in, automatically advance, start round 2 off fresh. Hopefully it works this time. And so we did that, and it's shared, and so far we have 0 entries after 2 weeks, but I'm not too worried about it yet.
And I am also going to... Yeah, I am going to remind people, if they are listening and they have entered Brand Battle or on the next round, the closing date, I believe, is Halloween night.
Halloween night, yes.
Yeah, so hurry up.
Please hurry.
You
don't need to hurry, per se. Put effort into your projects.
But
please actually share your entries this time.
Share it before the end date.
Oh my god, I can't do this again. Don't make me wait 5
Don't make him do this again.
That hurt so much.
Yeah.
That was like, I don't want to say physically painful, but like, oh boy, it was not a good feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I had to give Perrin a little bit of therapy. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that again to the poor man? He suffered enough.
Don't. After everything I've sacrificed for this contest, please don't do this to me again.
The blood, sweat, and tears for this contest.
Man.
The brand battle gods demand it. Yeah.
The brand battle gods are just like burrito, and that's it.
It's just him. He just spams us constantly, just saying, "You better get brand battle finished."
Anyway, so yeah, that's what I've been up to. It's been interesting. Another small thing I want to mention is, so for one of my classes this year, I'm doing digital photography 2, and we opened up, one of the first assignments of the semester was a photo scavenger hunt, where our professor gave us like a list of 18 prompts that were like pretty ambiguous. It was a lot of fun. So like, for example, darkness, red, a flag, television, a wheel, stuff like that we had to like find, take pictures of, get a little fancy with it, do like kind of push the boundaries a little bit. But he also included at the very end, the last prompt is just Francois, like the name Francois, and he did not elaborate on what he meant by Francois.
That's something
which is, I think, is great. I think this is a great like teaching device. So we had to figure out what Francois meant to us, basically. What is Francois to you? And so we tried to find something, like, I wasn't sure what I was going to do for Francois, and then I was out in Boston with a couple of my friends, and I went to a TJ Maxx, and they happened to have, like, on a shelf of, like, assorted jellies and stuff. I don't know why they even sell jelly in a clothing store, but, like, one of the jelly brands was, like, Francois and Sons. And I was like, this is it. That's Francois.
That's the one.
There he is. He's right there. He's here. This is Francois. He makes jelly.
Oh, hi,
apparently.
Mark. And this is, oh, hi, Francois.
He sells his jelly in a clothing store. Man. It's like shopping for clothes at the soup store, but it's selling Francois jelly at the clothing store.
That reminds me, actually, this is another cultural thing we were talking about before we started the podcast, how like things are different here. Like, for example, football in America is American football, while that means soccer here. Another thing is, it's TJ Maxx. It's not called TJ Maxx here in Britain.
Is it?
It's called TK Maxx.
TK Maxx?
TK Maxx.
TK Maxx?
Yeah.
With one X or two?
It's two X's, same as TJ Maxx, but it's just the J is changed to a K.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's named after the founder.
Yeah, I don't know why they would change it. Like, TJ is not I don't know, but it's TK Maxx.
Google results it was founded in Massachusetts, TJ Maxx. That's interesting. But they modified the name in 1994 to avoid confusion with the established British retail chain TJ Hughes, which is not affiliated with the company.
I do actually know
Interesting.
TJ Hughes. Huh.
Okay, so that's really interesting.
There you go.
Yeah. You'd think the name TJ, which is a name,
The guy's
isn't
name.
Copyrightable.
Yeah,
But
I don't think it's
I guess
copyright. I
so.
think it's more just like to say it's to avoid confusion. But I don't
That's
know how
true,
many people would
but, like,
actually get confused.
If they sell different things, like TJ Maxx is first and foremost a clothing store, at least here in the United States.
See, that's weird. It's a bit
So-
different here. The way they market it is kind of an everything store. Like, yeah, there are a lot of clothes, like the
like
first
a
floor.
Walmart?
But like, kind of, not
Wait,
like
you guys
a Walmart.
don't have Walmart, do you?
We have
you
Asda
guys have
instead.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is a very convoluted thing. Asda was originally owned by Walmart, so it was actually Walmart basically. And actually, if you look back at their logo history, they used to have a logo which had Asda, and like I don't know what they call the symbol, like the logo of Walmart.
The little spark.
Yeah, parts of the spark was
you're right.
integrated into the Asda logo. If you look up Asda, if you look up the Asda logo, it
Seeing it
comes
right
up.
now. I like that shade of green they use. That's pretty nice.
It is nice, but they obviously they got
Feels
rid of
very
it 'cause then
natural
they
and
got,
organic.
Yeah, so they got bought by a British company. I can't remember what one it was, but they got bought by a British company, and now they're back to just being owned by a British company. So they're just Asda now. But technically, it is basically our
It
equivalent
seems,
to.
from what I'm seeing on Wikipedia as I'm Googling in the background, it seems that they're still at least partially owned by Walmart.
Yeah. So I think they're still involved. And actually, if you look at some of
Yeah.
their older logos, they actually used to have a big bottom slogan that said "part of the Walmart family," and it has like the old Walmart logo with like the star. That's how old that logo is. But yeah. But yeah, that's our equivalent to it here. So
Very
I think it's
cool.
pretty similar because you have Great Value. I think it's called, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what the
I think
little like
ours was
like generic brand for
Yeah.
Walmart is.
We have the same, but it's called like I think it was called like Savior Value or Sin. They changed it recently because it's got yellow
We do
packaging now.
separately
And it's-
have a little thrift store chain called Savers.
We have a place called Savers, but it's mostly for medical stuff. It's like a. But
Interesting.
I don't know if they're linked, but there you go. We have a place called Savers as well.
More
Where
you
do we
know.
get onto stores, man? I'm just getting to different stores now.
This,
I know. Wait, do you guys have? Last question about this. Do you guys have
Okay.
Aldi?
Aldi, we do have Aldi, but they're not as popular.
Right.
I think they're getting more popular because I've seen them more in recent years. But we do have them on occasion.
See, in Britain, they are huge. They are absolutely huge.
I'm sure.
Like, they are super popular here because,
They
especially because a
seem
lot
pretty
of the other
nice.
stores-
Like this seems pretty fancy.
Yeah, it's not I mean, I don't know if they say fancy, but
Not like
it's just a different
fancy, but like it
experience.
seems like it's higher quality compared to other like similar
it's more about
like
product
mid-tier
quality.
grocery places. You know,
It's not as much about branding because like you'll go into an Aldi and most of it is like their own like brand stuff. Compared to other
sounds-
stores.
it sounds to me from someone who's never shopped at Aldi, but like just based on vibes, it seems like if this is gonna sound really weird, if like IKEA owned like Hannaford's or Price Chopper or some like B- tier grocery
Yeah.
chain.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get from it.
Well, to be honest, not the best thing about Aldi. There's no music playing. That is such an amazing thing. They don't. That's the thing about Aldi. They
Interesting.
try and save as much money as possible. That's their whole brand, right? So they don't They don't play music because they don't have to buy licenses for it. They don't play
That's
anything.
actually kind of smart,
And
I guess.
you don't know how amazing that is because I can hear myself think. I don't need to hear Mariah Carey during Christmas time like a million times.
For sure.
So it's pretty great.
Man. Here in like the Northeast U.S., we have this place called Market Basket, which is a similar like grocery chain, and it's like reasonable quality stuff, and it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But like the experience of going there is not fun at all. I was there yesterday with a bunch of my friends because we were like getting ingredients for an apple crisp because we went apple picking a couple days ago. We wanted to use up the apples, but like just wrangling them around. And there's like several hundred people there, and the aisles are like super narrow, so it's super cramped and stuff. And it's big, and there's like people like restocking in basically every aisle. Like there's staff like on ladders, and there's like big like pallets full of stuff. It's just it's not fun. It brings out the worst in people shopping at Market Basket. But hey, good deals on stuff. Anyway.
Yeah. God, it's so weird here because like Britain, we have so many different stores like that aren't in America at all. Like Tesco, Morrison's, Sainsbury's, M&S, Waitrose, Harrods, etc.
The only one of those I've even heard of is Tesco, and I feel like we have those somewhere in the U.S.
I'm not sure. I think it's mostly British, but yeah, Tesco's like it's similar to. I mean, Tesco, Morrison's, Sainsbury's, and Asda are all kind of similar. They're just kind of big superstores. They're not really wildly different to each other. But the big difference is Tesco and Sainsbury's and Morrison's are actually based in Britain. Like they were actually founded in Britain. Yeah. Whereas I think Asda was founded by Walmart primarily and is like, they're just British arm, essentially. And M&S is also British, but they're just extremely expensive. They're like the Whole Foods, I think, of America, of Britain, basically. But there you go. You've now got an education in British stores.
That was very interesting lecture.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
That was fun. More interesting than some of my classes this year, for sure.
The bar must be low. The bar must be on the floor, man.
I'm in an ethics class right now. And it's not bad because I kind of like philosophy. Is pretty fun. I like philosophy, but like the problem is this is stuff that's in like any basic philosophy class, and then the assignments and lectures for it are so long and so bland, and there's so much reading, and it's a drag. It's not that it's hard. It's not that it's difficult to understand. It just kind of sucks. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get that.
Man.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
It's just one of those kinds of classes. It's required for every student in my school. It's part of the core curriculum.
When I was doing my college course, we had to do a class on like doing finance, and that's fine. Like I'm not great at finance, but I'm like, as long as I can do spreadsheets and that's fine. But this class, you're not allowed to use a calculator or spreadsheets. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. What?
Why?
So that was torture, and I had to say to the lecturer, like, look, because there's assessments, and I'm like saying to her, you will not be able to read my handwriting. You will not. It will be an impossible task. If you can read my handwriting, you will be like one of the smartest people on earth.
Class.
I make doctors' handwriting look legible, okay? So she gave me a computer, but she said you can't use formulas, so I could use a spreadsheet, just not well. I couldn't use any formulas, obviously, which I didn't. I'm an honest man, all right? But that was funny to try and explain.
You have academic integrity.
I have academic integrity. I'm a man of integrity. But it was just funny because I've had to do that a few times with teachers and lecturers. I have to explain to them, like, no, you think you'll be able to read it? Because they say that, no, I'll be fine, I can read it. And I'm like, you will not be able to read it. And then what I'll do is
you should have a sample on hand. Just keep keep it in your wallet.
Yeah. But what I did was, a few of them would like kind of not budge, and I say, okay then. So then I'd write it down, and then I give it to them, and then I suddenly, 10 minutes later, I get told, nah, you can use a computer, it's fine. So it's like, point proven. So yeah, there you go. I should probably I'm going to try and steer this back on now. I should try and get this to stop derailing.
So what have you been up to, Sean?
Not too much. I've always said this on the podcast. The thing is, I'm kind of a one that likes to keep his project secret. But what I have been doing, and this is something I do all the time, but I randomly decide I want to rebrand something for no reason whatsoever. And I have no intention of sharing it anywhere or actually using it in any reason. So recently, you won't remember this, but do you remember Together?
Yes, I remember Together.
Yeah,
I joined and made one logo for it, and then it died.
It died. So Together, for those who don't know, was a Scratch account of a collective of designers, including Perrin, myself, and Micah, and so on, where we would take requests and make logos. The main thing was just it was kind of good practice, and it kind of gave us it was a fun thing to do. So I ran the second version of it, called Together 2, and the original logo I made, I'm not happy with anymore, so I went and redid it. And I'm a lot happier with it because I actually did a custom type for it, which I didn't do in the original one. I don't know if you saw my rebrand of it in my server.
Yes, I did. It was quite nice, quite tasteful.
Thank you. Let's say
very fun gradients.
It is. I might very much enjoy the gradients.
Better font.
Yeah, so that was the thing I was going to say. So that font's like Nexa, but I modified it quite heavily. So like, the T's are very different. I've actually remade the T's from scratch.
It feels a lot nicer. Like the spacing is better. Just like the letter forms themselves, like it feels like they have more room to breathe.
Yeah, and that was the main thing I'm getting into. I want to do more like custom type because that's what I used to do in my old logos. Is I didn't do that, and it's kind of boring because like generic fonts, like it's not really like it's easy to replicate. Whereas like doing your own custom type, even modifying current fonts, was way more fun than just like doing a generic font all the time.
I've also been doing a lot more of like doing stuff by hand, like using existing fonts as a baseline.
But like modifying
doing stuff by
fonts.
hand is just a lot funner. Like I've done that for like number fonts for a couple of my football teams recently. Even like the NAFA logo that I've like the main like word mark, like abbreviated word mark for it is based on Termina, but it's not quite. I modified it a little bit. Just like small tweaks like that I think can help. Like it's always good to like base it off of an existing typeface because you know type designers know what they're doing.
Type is a very difficult thing to get right. I think I've only done it once. Fun. I've only made a custom font from like scratch once, and it was for the Archon font I made for like Mica.
Oh yeah,
ages ago. I don't know if you remember it, but that's the only time I did it.
Might.
It's on Aureali, but it took. I mean, like I say, it was like my only time I did it, and it's the only time I've ever been happy with a custom font from like scratch. Because every other time I've done it, it has been horrible looking. You know, it's just like I say, it's like what you said. Type designers know what they're doing. I'll see if I can find it real quick though, because I'm trying to mind where. There it is. I've got my Behance one. It's actually in good quality because the scratch one is horrible quality. Here you go. I think the font's there. If it's not, I'll have to go to the scratch one. Yeah, it's not there. Whoops.
Oh yeah, that one. That's my hand. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought that was it looks a lot like Akira expanded.
I think that one is. It's the other font. I'll see if I can find it real quick. I think that's the wrong one.
The other.
Come on, load. Oh my god, Scratch. The only time I'm trying to use Scratch and it will not load. It's slow.
Man, Scratch moment.
Story of my life, man. Yeah, okay. I'll see if I can find it later, but yeah. Oh wait, no, it's loaded. Hold on. Come on. Oh god, it's slow. Alright, I found it.
Excellent.
Okay, Mr.
Scratch
Burns.
Project. Man.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was custom.
That's a good one. It's a good looking font.
Thank you.
Again, looks a lot like Nexa, but it's just subtly different. Fonts are fun.
They are. I love
type design's fun, you guys. Graphic design isn't that
fonts. Boring. Fonts, I love them. I'm sure they're all. I'm sure everyone listening to the podcast is like, "Shut up! No, I don't care."
Man. You know what? There's a stupid thing I suggested for one of my classes where we should all like make like business card designs and then recreate that scene from American Psycho where they compare all of their like business cards, but they're all exactly the same. Man.
Oh, amazing. Oh my god.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah, that would be funny. I think we should probably move on to stuff we've been seeing in the news. Yes. 34 minutes in, we're only starting to get there.
We're
the
starting section
special.
2 of like 5.
That's a teen segue.
Incredible.
So firstly, Apple event, the Wanderlust event. It has happened.
Yes.
We were going to maybe do a live for it, but then to be honest, now that we look back on it, I'm glad we didn't because it was a really boring event. Because I watched it in my server and it was very blah It doesn't really. It wasn't anything.
I
like,
did
surprising.
not see it.
Yeah, I mean,
I
you
feel
don't
like
really
I didn't
need
do
to.
the homework for this episode.
You really do not need to be honest. Like this article will give you like everything you need to know. It's like the
Perfect.
Of course, we'll start off with the big news. The iPhone 15 is here. It is
It's
out.
back.
It's here. We're back.
It's
here.
got titanium in it, as I know
the-
from the 4
marketing.
iPhone commercials I see every second trying to watch a football game.
Did you know the iPhone Pro 15 has got like titanium, bro?
It's titanium.
It's titanium.
It's incredible. We used a
Oh.
slightly different metal. It's slightly different.
Oh.
This is the pinnacle of technology.
Yeah, Tim, you've done it
We used a
again.
different metal.
Tim, you did it again. You genius. Anyway, so other features include, and this is, I think, the most important feature: USB Type C.
USB-C.
We finally have a USB-C type iPhone, which I am very happy to see. Finally, we're welcome to the modern age iPhone users. It was just such an overdue update, the USB-C thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. As someone who's had an iPhone for so long and stuff, who's been, fully engrossed in the Apple ecosystem since the iPad came out, the original iPad. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird because at least my dad collects cables. Not collects them, but he just has a million extras of basically every single cable. And he especially has, obviously, iPhone chargers, like lightning adapters and stuff like that. We don't really have as many USB-Cs out there. So it's going to be weird. It's going to be a strange adjustment, at least for people like me whose fathers are Apple stans. But still, it's not a bad change. It's a perfectly fine change. It means Apple can, make slightly less money, I guess.
Yeah. Well, now they're just going to start
standardized
selling
cables,
USB-C
obviously.
to lightning adapters now.
Exactly.
So that's their new
But,
business.
standardized stuff is always good. It's always good for the consumer to have things standardized so they know exactly what to buy. So that's good.
Yeah.
It's a win. It's a win for consumers in my book. I like the change. I don't really have a preference between USB-C and lightning adapters at all. I've used both. Not for charging my phone, but I've used both. They're both perfectly. They do the job. They're both good at it. Doesn't really make much of a difference at the end of the day.
I think the biggest advantages you'll find. Well, firstly, I don't know. I'm not exactly an expert. I think if you are in the Apple ecosystem and have a newer iPad, you'll have USB-C already. And also, I think the Mac also uses USB-C or Thunderbolt, which I think is similar.
It can.
So,
yeah.
So it's not too bad of a change.
My laptop at least can use either USB-C or the MagSafe
the
cable
MagSafe
guy, which I still think is a stupid name. But it's got 3 USB-C slots on it, which is neat.
Yeah. Other features include the dynamic island is on every model this year. So it includes the cheaper iPhones, just the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, and of course it's on the Pro and Pro Max as well this year, not just the Pro last year. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anyone who has an iPhone that has a dynamic island yet, but it seems
Nor
cool.
do
The UI seems nice.
It seems like a fun feature.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like anything, super special, but
no. But it's nice.
Definitely not bad.
It's a cool thing. My main thing is just how big the notch still is compared to other devices. It's just kind of silly now. I get it was meant to be this kind of middle ground thing, but now every other company's went to a punch hole or something smaller than that, and Apple still has a huge bar at the top in comparison. But other features include the new chip A16 Bionic, which I don't think is. I mean, again, Apple chips are kind of usually really good anyway. I imagine it will be better, but probably not enough for most people to notice unless you're coming from a much older device, to be honest. New cameras as well. Not much. Like I say, that's the thing with the iPhone 15. It wasn't anything we weren't particularly expecting. In the sense of there wasn't anything wow, Wow, that's a truly revolutionary kind of stuff.
Truly groundbreaking feature.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing was titanium. It has titanium.
Oh my god, it's a new metal.
Oh my god, it has titanium. Ooh. Wait, what's that? What's that Sia song? It's like I am titanium or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's Sia. I don't know.
Isn't it? I thought it was Sia.
Know. Wait, I've lost track. Every celebrity is the same person.
Titanium song. David Guetta featuring Sia. My bad. There you go. I do not know how I remember that.
I am familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. The other feature is the action button. The ringer is gone on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. It is now replaced with an action button, which basically just means it's a remappable button. You can change it from a ringer to anything, basically. I've seen some people do it, like you can have it as like a physical button to your home screen, which, okay, but I don't really see the point in that. But
nor do I. I do think it's a fun feature, just having programmable buttons are fun.
Yeah, that's a pretty good change, I think. But I know some people might be, because people are so used to the Switch now. It's been on like every iPhone up until now. But I'm sure people will get used to it, to be honest. I think also the Pro has the ability to do ray tracing. And they're like, Apple's bringing in like more high-end games. I think the new Assassin's Creed is going to be on the iPhone.
I think that's a fun change, I think. Because I feel like
it's a cool feature. My main thing with it is I'm not actually sure how many people would actually play it. I don't know how many people who own an iPhone are in the same market as someone who would play an Assassin's Creed game. That's my main thing. But I do think it's a cool feature. I'm just not sure how that would translate to the market that Apple really like targets their products to. You know? Because the same thing with like how the Mac kind of doesn't have much of a gaming community around it, because it's just the people who buy Macs are mostly creatives and so on, that kind of
Speaking of games not being for Mac generally, a few days ago, so you know the Papa's Gamerias? So they made a version of Papa's Freezeria, which is their smoothie game, that was, it's on Steam, which is a big deal because they haven't had like their games on computers since Flash died. So that was big. And so they made a version on Steam. They put it on Steam for like $6. Not too crazy. But I wanted to get it because it's fun. It's a good game. Love that game series.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to go purchase it on Steam, and then I did purchase it on Steam. And then I didn't read the giant label that said, "Oh, this is for Windows only." Sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's on me. So I had to get a refund. So I'm disappointed. I can't I can't make my smoothies.
I thought you might be able to run it in a virtual machine, but I'm not sure how you do it on a
but
Mac.
You see, I'm not nearly smart enough to like download an emulator without also like putting every single virus known to man on my computer. It's a very
Perrin.
daunting task.
Oh, Perrin, no.
I would, but I'm not smart enough.
Oh, what a shame.
To download an emulator.
I don't know if you'll need an emulator. You can probably just use a virtual machine, which that's just like you can install Windows as a virtual machine.
Case in point, I didn't realize there was a difference between those two things until just now.
Yeah, so like an emulator is usually like when you emulate like a game console or certain hardware. For example, like if a game requires it to be on certain kinds of hardware or software, whereas a virtual machine is mostly for like if you're wanting to run like an operating system that's not your own on your computer. So like if you want to run, like a lot of people on Linux will do that. Like people who play games on Linux, like some games do not work on Linux at all just because it's not supported whatsoever. So what a lot of people do is they'll have a virtual machine for Windows that they only play like games that only work on Windows on. So, but yeah, like I say, I don't know how that would work on a Mac because I've never used Mac really that much. I don't know how virtualization works on it. But you probably do it. I just don't know how.
In theory, I could figure it out. In practice, not a chance. There's no way.
Yeah. Right. What else? Apple Watch Series 9 Again, it's not a crazy new.
They're up to
stuff.
9 already?
They're up to 9. We're up to 9, yeah.
Wow. I have not been paying attention.
Nothing wildly different, just a new processor. It has new straps. They've ditched the leather altogether. They're now doing a new material that they've made called fine woven, which is maybe this environmentally friendly kind of fabric, I believe.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Which, yeah, that's pretty neat. And that's about it, really. It's it's not crazy new. There's also the Apple Watch Ultra 2 as well, which is, again, it's not like, it looks virtually the same to the original. It's just a small spec bump. Slightly brighter display,
slightly better
battery. It's incremental. It's not really like a big change.
Exactly.
A few other things that wasn't mentioned at the event was the AirPods Pro are going USB-C as well. So AirPods Pros that you buy now off of Apple will be USB-C as well, so
nice.
Which is pretty neat. And of course, all the updates to their operating systems are out. iOS 17, iPadOS 17, watchOS 10, and macOS Sonoma are all out now as well,
Very
I believe.
Cool.
I don't know if you've upgraded to Sonoma yet. Actually, it's not out yet, my bad.
No.
So it's macOS Sonoma actually comes out on the 26th of this month, so 2 days as of recording. So, yeah, watch out for that. But iPadOS and iOS 17 and watchOS 10 are all out on September 18th. So that was quite a few days ago now.
Very cool.
Again. So, yeah. I don't know if you've upgraded your phone to iOS 17
I have not. I think
not.
I can, but I just haven't. Because I am the kind of person who lets every single software update known to man. I just don't do it. It takes forever for me to get around to it.
Don't be like Perrin. Upgrade your software when you as soon as you can.
Man.
Yeah. One last feature is on the last iPhone, you may remember they added the satellite SOS feature. So that's like if you're. So on the previous iPhone, you could call, or I think it was you could message emergency services using satellites, as you could, as a antenna to do that. So I think what I did was I was like a questionnaire of saying like, what's the emergency, where are you, so on, and then it would send all that information in a text via satellite to the emergency services so they could get help.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they're adding a new update to this, which is now roadside assistance. So that means you can now also then call your car company to pick up the car if you're stranded. At the moment, it's in partnership with AAA in America, so I don't think it's available in the UK or anywhere else yet. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see. You might find it will expand during the next year and so on. But it kind of works the same way. You just kind of tell it what's all going on, and then it sends a text to the AAA, and they'll give you a hand. So yeah, that'll be that's a pretty good feature, I would say.
That's a good feature.
It is a pretty good feature. But other than that, really the other thing Apple pushed a lot during the event was like their environmental stuff. So I think they said the iWatch, the Apple Watch is now their first carbon neutral product, I think they boasted, or something like that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was really about it. Like I say, I watched the event and I thought it was pretty boring. It wasn't like, again, we all kind of expected everything that happened. There wasn't like like how they used to do like that one more thing. They didn't even do that.
Yeah.
Like there was not another thing. It was just kind of iPhone, watch. That was kind of it. Not much else. But yeah, that was kind of the iPhone and the Apple event, Wanderlust event. There you go. So
very cool.
I have educated you. You didn't have to watch the whole event. You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. I think we should move on to Unity. I assume you know what Unity is.
Yes, I am aware of Unity.
Yes. I don't know if you are aware of the drama that's been going on with them in regards to their pricing model.
For once, I am aware of this kind of thing.
Ooh, okay.
And it's only because I've seen it talked about in the Discord server.
Yes. So to give it's more complicated, but I'll try and just make it as simple as possible because, to be honest, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty. But to boil it down, Unity was planning on charging developers for every time a game was installed with their engine. And companies are not happy with that because there's immediately a million problems with that idea. So
most
they
notably,
were
less money to the developers of the game.
Yes, that initially was the problem. Obviously.
Always cringe.
That is cringe. Big old cringe nugget right there. The other big problems were actually from a technological standpoint. So the first thing was they said every single time a game was reinstalled. So that included like not just like first installs, reinstalls, everything. So that meant if like even someone had like a technical problem, or say they changed their computer and they reinstalled the game when they got their new PC or anything, that would count as a charge. And even worse, that would also mean if someone pirated the game, it would technically also count. As long as the Unity runtime program picked it up.
That just feels evil. That just feels
so that's really, and that's the other problem. The other big issue was they could say this could actually be used as a targeted attack against developers. Someone could just pirate the game and just keep reinstalling it constantly and actually rack up a massive bill.
Too many ways to like abuse that.
Yeah, and what didn't help was when Unity was like asked on Twitter about this, like, hey, how are you going to like detect piracy and other problems? They just were extremely vague and just said, oh, we'll figure it out. We have like a proprietary like AI model or something.
I think
that'll figure it out.
Tech company code for we have no clue.
We have no idea.
That sounds like a Twitter communications department reply.
Yeah,
right
there. That was so obviously
communications department.
Definitely. And what was worse was Unity was being really scummy about this. Like they went turbo scummy with it because how Unity
turbo
worked
scummy
was,
would be a great band name.
That is a really good brand name. I need to keep that in mind. But yeah,
or at least Turbo Scum.
That is really good. Oh my god, that is so good. That could be like a really good like punk band.
Yeah, that's a punk band name right there for sure.
Definitely. Anyway, so what Unity was planning on doing as well, they changed how their policies work in terms of like their licenses. So how it used to work was with the version of Unity that you made your game with or your game was running on, that was the license it ran on. So if you were running like a version of Unity 2 years old, for example, like 2 versions behind, that you'd be using not the new policy for the new version, you'd be using the policy that was there for that version when it came out. So that was a great thing. So that meant if someone didn't like what Unity was doing with the new versions in terms of the policies, they didn't have to upgrade. But now, Unity changed it so everyone, no matter what version they were using, were subject to these new rules. Meaning, every single game ever made with Unity would be charged as long as it reached this new limit of how many sales. I think it was about 200,000. Yeah, so for personal and plus users, if they made more than $200,000 in the last 12 months, they would be charged. Unity Pro went up from $1 million in the last 12 months. Same with Unity Enterprise as well. So most developers that are actually like making games and making, money, they would lose everything. That's just basically and bankrupt them.
That's an Adobe type move right there.
That is an Adobe type move all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like more evil than if you don't pay this Pantone subscription in your Photoshop file, it's just going to turn everything that is a Pantone shade into black.
Yeah,
that's how
that was so stupid. Paying for colors, that is like the most hilarious thing ever.
Man.
Like, you can't make that up, man.
I mean, if you're getting, like, color blindness corrected, I suppose it's the same thing, but, like...
Yeah, but it's like, come on. Like, that is so stupid. Like, imagine trying to explain that to someone who isn't tech savvy. It's like, what?
Exactly. Man.
So, anyway, Unity then, of course, unsurprisingly, this caused an uproar. This was, like, hated across the board. Everyone in the game development space, everyone in just the game space in general, just criticized Unity. Everyone was already saying to move over to other engines. everything. People were ditching Unity, saying that it's dead to them. Tons of big developers, including the Terraria developers, said that they didn't support it and were going to kind of move away from Unity if they were going to make new games and so on. So, yeah, this was a massively bad decision for Unity. Like, this turned them into, like, the new EA, basically.
Yeah, that's...
which, ironically, the CEO... The CEO was the previous CEO of EA, and his great idea...
Okay.
I don't know if you heard about this. But you know his great idea? He had a massive, great idea during his time at EA. He wanted to, for every time you ran out of like bullets in Battlefield, you had to pay $1 to reload.
Oh boy, that's awful.
That was his big idea. And EA, like the board at EA said, no, we're not even that evil to do that. They kicked him out. Or something like that. Or at least they didn't let him do it. They basically said no. Like, when EA thinks that's too evil, you're like really on the wrong side of history there.
Exactly. For sure. I feel like, as always, the worst part about the video game industry is just the companies behind the video game industry actively making things worse for everyone at every possible turn.
Yeah, it's bad. It is really bad.
Bad.
It was a disaster. But what happened then? Unity tried to not backpedal, but they tried to make it seem not as bad, saying only 10% of people would be affected by this. But then they neglected to say how big of a percentage that meant. Like, there would still be millions of people that would be affected. So it didn't really change anything. So eventually, very recently, only a couple days ago,
10% of a lot is still a lot.
Exactly.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah. So then they caved. They have they haven't repealed the entire policy, and that still is a big problem, I think, for many people, is they wanted it completely repealed. They didn't like this at all.
Yeah.
But Unity's changed it. Again, I'm not going to get too much into it, but I think they're changing it so it's not for... I don't think it counts on every install. It's only on first install. The limit before you start getting charged is higher now, I believe.
Okay, but that's still not good.
Yeah, the problem is they're still going ahead with the idea. And
good.
And I think the issue is, so the biggest thing they did change, which isn't as bad, I think they're saying now they're not going to use proprietary data to know how much times it's been installed. They're going to have the developers themselves send it to them. So it's the developers' data.
I suppose
but that's
now
still
there's,
not...
checks on it, but
it's just...
No.
It's not reliable. And I noticed that, the first change...
Also, wait. Hold the phone. If you're trusting developers to say how many installs have been, what's stopping them from lying?
Exactly. It's just it's a bad idea. It's a stupid idea. It doesn't work.
There's no way to
make it work.
Man, yeah, this really is a Twitter type decision.
Yeah,
because it's there's no way to do this without making it awful for everyone trying to use it. But there's also no way to backpedal on it to make it safer that doesn't also allow for it to be completely exploited.
Yeah. Exactly.
So just don't do it to begin with.
Exactly.
Solves all your problems.
Because if they went with their own version, which was to do the data themselves, that would imply a lot of data problems, because GDPR would not allow that without having a big disclaimer and asking for your consent, which it doesn't do that right now. So they have to add that. And if they didn't, they could be fined. So that was a stupid idea. But this new version, like you say, someone could just lie if they want to.
Exactly.
And what's Unity going to do? We don't believe you. It's okay, prove it. It's such a stupid thing.
Just not smart all the way around. I'm not economics, man. I don't do business. That's not my wheelhouse. But this really feels like it's just... Mm-hmm. There's no way to make this work that's not downright evil, that actually solves anything. Which...
No.
Man. Thanks, Unity.
Yeah, and what makes it more...
It's either... No matter what, it looks bad for Unity. Because either you're making something that's downright evil for both consumers and developers, or you're allowing your own system that you invented to be blatantly supported, and that makes you look idiotic, really. It means it's they just allowed a massive loophole they kind of shot
Yep.
themselves in the foot there.
Exactly.
Nice, good going, nerds.
Yeah, and the other big thing now is like they've lost their trust entirely because no one trusts Unity anymore with this. So now like people are still moving away from Unity now. People are wanting to go to different engines because why would they go with Unity? That's the other problem here.
Now
it's
they've
not
lost
Unity
all
doesn't
their
have like
trust in
they
reputation.
don't have a monopoly or anything. They don't have a monopoly.
Exactly.
There are tons of other game engines. There's Unreal Engine. There's also open source ones that a lot of people have been recommending, like Godot and other such ones like that.
Mm-hmm.
There are other ones that are just as capable or even more capable than Unity. Why would anyone use the one that is the only one that charges them that way?
Yeah, it's not like an Adobe situation where they do something downright evil, but people have to just suck it up because there's no other option. Except
they're the industry standard, but Unity isn't. Like, it's not... there's a lot of games built on Unreal, for example. Like, tons of games are built on Unreal, so a lot of people just switch to that. And it's just... I do not understand this from a business perspective because it's just a terrible idea. And there's no way to make it work. That would be reliable and trustworthy.
Exactly.
It's just
Common
stupid.
Unity L, I guess.
That's a big L from Unity there.
Big fat L.
Yeah, but it's just a very silly idea. And yeah, it's been a mess because now they're doing like fireside chats and everything, trying to like claw back their reputation, but it's not working. People don't trust them anymore.
Don't besmirch the mostly good name of Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yeah, but yeah, it didn't go very well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that EA former CEO get kicked out eventually, because I don't imagine they'll be very happy with how well this has went. But yeah, that's the Unity situation in a nutshell. There you go. But
nice.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we should move on to the music segment. I shall let you start, Perrin. What have you been listening to recently?
So, recently, Owl City has been going on tour to celebrate his most recent album, Coco Moon, which came out in March, I think. It was pretty good. It's not my favorite of his, but it's definitely the best album he's made since, like, 2012. Because his previous three were meh, if not kind of bad. So it's definitely an upgrade. Definitely really like it. And I went to see the concert last Sunday in Boston, in the Boston House of Blues. It was awesome. It was super fun. He did most of the new album. He sprinkled in some classics. He sprinkled in Fireflies, obviously.
You will not believe your eyes.
Exactly.
10 million Fireflies.
It was a fun time. Went really hard. He's just a really talented musician. You got to see him like go absolutely crazy on the drums. He's an insanely good drummer. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, he did a song from, I think he did a song from every album, including like his super old stuff. Mm-hmm. Like he did the song Air Traffic from Maybe I'm Dreaming, which is a song I barely even know. He did Captains and Cruise Ship from Of June, which came out in 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, he really, yeah. At the end of the day, he just loves making music, and he loves performing, and I think that's great. And his music is, for the most part, really good. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Have I done anything else? Oh, I also kind of just like re-listened to his entire discography, at least under the Owl City name. But yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, you cannot listen to his entire discography very
kind of revisiting.
That man has a whole lot of side projects.
Yeah, there's so many side projects that I've talked about those ad nauseum already.
Yeah,
but
he gives like Radiohead like a run for their money in terms of side projects, because the amount of ones they have is ridiculous too. Because they have like Atoms for Peace, their solo stuff, The Smile, tons of side projects. I've talked about them ad nauseum too. Unlike
Radiohead, his best stuff is the side projects for the most part.
Yeah,
at least, like his best stuff is his old albums, like Maybe I'm Dreaming, Ocean Eyes, and All Things Bright and Beautiful are all really, really good albums that I like a lot. But then after that, he kind of went downhill. But his old stuff and his side projects are still incredible. Yeah, see, he even like played songs from his like instrumental scores in like in the wait up between like when the concert started in the opener and between the opener and when he took the stage. He played like songs from the soundtrack scores that he made, which is really fun little detail. But yeah, it was a really nice concert. Had a lot of fun. I'll say he's still good at music. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's kind of funny actually because I just mentioned Radiohead there. It was like it's almost the opposite of Owl City in the way because you're saying like his older stuff is better than the new stuff. I'm almost the opposite because some people do prefer like Radiohead's older material, but I'm the opposite. I prefer their newer stuff from like 2000 and forward because like their newest record from 2016 is still like a fantastic record. But that's interesting. But they do the same thing. They pretty much play, at least from what concerts I've seen online, they pretty much play like stuff from their like 1995 all the way up to like now kind of thing. It's pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, cool. So I've been listening to, I actually mentioned this on Waste Of, if you saw that post.
Yes, I did
it was
see that
about
post.
Faith in Persona by Death's Dynamic Shroud, which is a pretty cool name, might I just say. That is a baller name. So it's, again, I don't know how you fully explain it, because like people I've seen describe this album say it's vaporwave, but I would not say that because it doesn't really sound like vaporwave to me. It's not what I imagine most people think of when they hear vaporwave. I more say it's like a alternative pop mashup kind of record in a way, or sampling record. I wouldn't say mashup. Because what it does is basically it's got like original instrumentals that kind of have a blend of like pop, but then also like, you know, like Nintendo. You know, there's those songs on YouTube which recreate songs in like with Nintendo like 64 sound effects. It's got those plastered throughout it. You know,
oh, that's fun.
Which is and it's really well done. And like I say, like then the vocals are like sampled from like popular like songs. So like for example, a song that's like sampled a lot during this record is "Ghostin'" by Ariana Grande, and it's done the way that he changes like the way they change like the vocals on each like iteration is wildly different. Like for example, on the track "Just to Be Needed," it's like completely changed because the original I think is like really like, you know, it's a pop song. It's like kind of like a traditional pop song. Exactly. But this version is like a full-on almost like really moody, not moody, but like a really kind of atmospheric and grand like
that's really cool.
It's just it kind of blows your mind to how wildly different it is. And there's other tracks that, like for example, the second track I think samples Dua Lipa's song. I can't remember the song off the top of my head that it samples, but again it changes the vibe. I think it might be Levitating. No, Don't Start Now. Don't Start Now at samples.
Okay. Oh, that one, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I only know like 4.
Yeah, same.
I know, like,
also, I was
4
trying to
songs.
mind off the top of my head. It samples that track, and again, it changes the vibe to a completely different vibe, and it's really good.
Yeah.
The intro track as well samples a few people. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it samples Demi Lovato and someone else off the top of my head I can't remember. But again, it's so cool because like it builds up a lot and it like loops the same hook over and over again and it gets stuck in your head. It just loops in your head and it's so well done. But yeah, it's that thing where like it reminds me of Neil Cicierega's stuff. I don't know if you've ever heard any of his mashup
I don't
stuff.
believe I have heard of them.
So yeah, basically what he does, he takes like, again, it's a mashup record, but his stuff is like super like creative. Like he's mashed up like stuff that would never make sense. Like for example, he mashed up 9 Inch Nails with Fireflies, and somehow it works. Like, you know the song "Closer" by 9 Inch Nails? I don't know if you know that song, but anyway,
maybe
it's probably, if you've heard the beat, you probably have heard it. But
I'm sure I have. I just don't like recall it off the top of my head.
You probably know like 9 Inch Nails. They're like really like kind of, you know, it's a really like a completely different sound to Owl City, you know.
Yeah. And
somehow it works. It just works. Or for example, he puts SpongeBob SquarePants theme on top of "We Will Rock You" by Queen, and it somehow works. It's so good, and I don't know how. It's like it's almost like it should be illegal. This stuff, like it's anyway. It almost reminds me of that, where it takes a song and like morphs it so much it almost turns into a completely different thing. It's like a completely different beast of its own. And yeah,
I think that's a really fun and interesting way to do art. Like not even limited to just music. Like just like as long as it's done, you know, I know out of respect for the original artist, but like keeping
I don't. It's not
mind,
to.
like,
It's not like it's
intended,
mocking the
but,
original
like,
tracks.
Yeah,
It's just using them as like it's what I think it is.
Using it as a jumping point
Yeah,
and
because I feel like
putting
if
their
you
own twist
took
on it. Yeah.
if you took all the samples out of the record, it wouldn't be a pop record, and I think that's what it's trying to be. It's trying to be like this kind of big, grand pop kind of record, and thanks to like using the samples, it becomes really hooky. Like the songs get stuck in your head because, like, you know, I still think about how many of those tracks are stuck in my head right now, and I've only heard the album like 2 times. You know.
Yeah. I'll
But
definitely give it a listen. Sounds like a super cool project.
It is. I like the 2 tracks I recommend the most if you don't want to listen to the whole thing is the intro track "Tear in Abyss" and the other track "Just to Be Needed."
Nice.
But yeah,
Got it.
yeah. But yeah, that's what I've been listening to. I think we can then move on to the outro. I think we've got a pretty good long episode. I think we've got like an hour and 10 minutes, and most of that was talking about random stuff that we're not meant to be talking about.
Wouldn't be a true TNC episode if that were not the case.
Indeed. But yeah. So my name's Sean.
I'm Perrin.
And where can we find you?
You can find me on Dribbble at Perrin Designs, at Instagram at Perrin.designs. I'm on Behance, even though I've been locked out of my Behance for several months, and then got it back for like a week, and then lost it again. I am on... what am I on? Is that it? I'm on Scratch, if you still use Scratch. I barely still use Scratch.
Waste of at Perrin as well.
Waste of money as Perrin. The sportslogos.net forum as Perrin.
We're going for everything now. Your Neopets account, Newgrounds.
What's my Webkins? I don't think I had a Webkins account. I think I just mostly played on my older siblings' accounts.
So my Roblox account is...
Yeah, I think my Nintendo Switch friend code.
Right. My Xbox gamer tag.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. You can find me at seanjw.com or my other projects at data with a dash in the middle .seanjw.com. And I believe that is us. I think we can wrap it up there. Thank you for listening to TNC, and thank you for listening to us if you've been here for the year that we've been running now. So thank you, and I hope
1 year of podcasting. It's been
1
real.
year podcasting, tons of memes.
Here's
Please
to
do
the next
not
year
sue
of
us.
podcasting. Don't sue us. Sue the individual host. Eat your vegetables. That's about it. Shop at Costco and IKEA. I'm running out of running jokes.
Yeah, I think that'll do.
To throw in at the end.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Farewell.
Bye.
Podcast is over. All right. Incredible.
Class is over. You're dismissed. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Go home.